Welcome to another edition of Q&A with C&A in Western Stark County. My name's Dan Mucci, and I'm the Mission Advancement Director for Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health. And on today's episode, our guest is Andrew Farber from Arrowhead Talent Solutions. And welcome to the program, Andrew.
Thanks, Dan. Great to be here.
Yeah, we're pleased to have you here. We're excited to learn about what your role is in the recruitment process for new employees at C&A.
Sure.
So before we get started, we always like to kind of give our viewers a little background of our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you went to school, college, your career path, and how you ended up at Arrowhead.
Sure. Yeah, so I went to Canton South High School, so I'm a local Stark County kid myself, so I've lived here my entire life. Currently live in Plain Township, but after graduating Canton South, I went to Ohio State, got a degree in Environment and Natural Resources, which, interestingly enough, has nothing to do with recruiting. But I did serve as an environmental consultant for 11 or 12 years before transitioning into a role at Arrowhead as a recruiter. So now, in my current role, I'm the recruiting manager, and I oversee the day-to-day operations of our recruiting efforts.
Nice. So you kind of explained what your role is at C&A. So let's just say, well, before we get to that, how did you come to partner with C&A then?
Sure. Yeah. So our company, Arrowhead Talent Solutions, we provide a couple different services for recruiting. One of which is like contract or retained recruiting. So we give you guys a set number of hours every month or every week, actually, that we serve as your in-house recruiter. It was a business model that we kind of established a few years ago. So our partnership's almost 3 years old at this point, and I've worked with you guys for a long time. But it's something that works well because you guys didn't have maybe the time or the resources to dedicate to full recruiting efforts to bring in new staff members to your company. So that's where we kind of filled that gap for you guys, and we do that with other companies as well. Nonprofits, for-profits, kind of all over the space. But it's something that it seems to work well for both parties. We know what we're getting from you guys in terms of business, but at the same time, we're able to offer a service that you otherwise wouldn't have in-house.
And it's been a great partnership.
Yeah, it really has.
Let's kind of take our viewers through a process. So let's just say I am on Child and Adolescent's website, or I see a position opening at Indeed. I click, send my resume in. Yeah. What happens?
Yeah, it actually comes to me, believe it or not. So I have a recruiting email address for child and adolescent behavioral health, and I monitor that. So it would come to me. I review all applicants that come through. I kind of compare them to the requirements of the role to see if it's worth a further exploratory conversation. If it is, then you're going to get an email from me or a phone call from me setting up a time to chat. We kind of do these as meet and greets, more or less. I take 20 or 30 minutes with a candidate at the onset to make sure that everything that C&A offers is what they're looking for. It's viewed as a two-way street, right? The candidate is kind of testing the waters of the potential company, but at the same time, the company needs to make sure the candidate is a fit as well. And that's really where I come in to save your staff some time in that process. You don't have to filter through hundreds of applicants and realize these interviews were a waste of time. It's really just a screening process at the start. I'm able to give them all of the details like salary and benefits and job duties and location and all of that up front to make sure it's a fit. And then if it is, I learn about the candidate at the same time to make sure that I can make an introduction back to the hiring team.
So you've reviewed everything. You've had that phone conversation with me. Explain next steps then. Yeah,
so I'm taking notes the entire time I'm talking to a candidate, looking at their resume, figuring out exactly the fit within the organization. It's not uncommon for somebody to apply to one role and then realize that they're a better fit for a different one. So I try to pivot that conversation to even cover a couple different job openings. At the end of that conversation with a candidate, I'm going to send a kind of a quick summary as well as the resume over to your hiring manager. So at that point, making an introduction that says this candidate meets these qualifications, they're interested in the role. Would you like to set up an interview? And then usually the next step would be an on-site interview so that you can meet the person in face.
So let's say I'm lucky enough to get the in-person interview.
Yeah.
Yay for me.
Yeah.
Is your role complete then, or what other steps do you do then?
Yeah, not entirely. I try to make sure that it's a seamless process for the candidate. I'm sending them materials up front, like a recruiting packet that goes through all of the different benefits and kind of highlights of working at C&A, as well as a job application, pre-hire questionnaire, some things that kind of help get the screening process started. We recognize that takes a long time, fingerprints, background checks, reference checks, try to get it in their hands ahead of time. That way, when they come to the interview, if it goes well, we can start them towards a potential hire. And, at that point, my role kind of starts to diminish a little bit after that initial conversation and then follow up with the hiring manager. But I do make sure questions are answered along the way, trying to provide updates to the candidates if they haven't heard anything for a period of time as the hiring team deliberates.
So after the interview process, you're going to follow up with me as the candidate,
Sure.
And then you're starting to step away and hand it over to C&A's team or the direct.
Yeah, exactly.
manager.
So you guys have an onboarding team that starts to gather more information, like transcripts and all of the stuff that you would need for the screening process. Really kind of transitions over to your HR department at that point, and the hiring manager themselves to make sure that next steps are followed up. I don't fully wash my hands of it. I do try to keep track of what's going on. Sometimes if we know that there's going to be a delay, we'll do things like contingency offer letters and different things to let the candidate know there remains a high level of interest from C&A, especially if they have competing offers out there.
Right.
You want to make sure that C&A is at the forefront of their mind every step of the way. Throughout the onboarding, though, start dates and all of that, I kind of back up. It's your guys' time to shine at that point.
So in addition to screening potential employees, you also go out to some career fairs or job fairs at local universities or just in the community.
Right.
What is really your role in that process there?
Yeah, so I just try to be a friendly face and an informative kind of person for somebody to talk to, right? At that point, I'm setting up a booth, talking to potential candidates, right? Oftentimes they're getting ready to graduate or they're looking for internship opportunities. There's a lot of opportunity at C&A, so I try to just listen to them to see what they're looking to do. I'm not a social worker. I'm not an expert on that front, but I do understand kind of the world of recruiting, understand what it's like to be an employee in the marketplace, and try to put my best foot forward as a representative of C&A for you guys to stand out above the rest. It's just a lot of questions that the kids are asking me. I can kind of talk to them about potential opportunities with the degree that they get, what that would look like at C&A as an employee. It seems to be well received. Some career fairs are more attended than others, but in general, it's a good use of your time and my time for your organization.
Yeah, and a lot of college kids missed out on those opportunities the last couple years, so just kind of reintroducing that as a step in the process is going to bring out some nerves or potential or uneasiness of what to expect. Yeah,
and you're just trying to be able to talk to a stranger, right? As a student, they're looking at me as a stranger, but think about your role at C&A, and a lot of times you're trying to connect quickly with families and children, so it's a really good kind of starting block to make sure that they would be a fit for the organization and give them some tips along the way, because it's tough out there.
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned our recruitment packet and some of our benefits. Would you like to expand a little bit? Like, what are common questions people ask, and then how do you kind of respond on the benefits end?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole spiel kind of figured out to give them the information up front. I would say, we talk about the medical, dental, vision insurance, the retirement plan with the company match. People are really interested in the education opportunities that you guys have for continuing education or even licensures, tuition reimbursement opportunities if somebody wants to further their education. That really resonates with people. The paid time off, of course, right? Who doesn't like a vacation?
Right, yeah.
And the personal days that are thrown into that. And even things, you guys have had discounts to the YMCA and different kind of perks of working at C&A. I try to highlight all of that because it does help you stand out against others. Mileage reimbursement, employee assistance program. I mean, the list kind of goes on. It's a full benefits package, and I really do try to touch on every one of those things, especially the referral program that you guys have. So everybody has a network. If those candidates are able to tap into that network and kind of recruit on your behalf, there's an incentive at the end of that too. So again, all of that together is packaged up, and I'm usually telling people within the first 5 or 10 minutes of a conversation all of those details. That way they can decide if it meets their needs or not.
I would say a great benefit is the Y, because just this past fall I've gotten into a Y membership, and my family's used it as well. So it's like a terrific benefit at a discounted rate as well.
I always tell people it's a great way to blow some steam off at the end of the day when you've worked with an otherwise, it's a tough population. You're working and providing a service that is vital to our community, but it's not easy work. And so people in that career field, I think it resonates with them that they have an opportunity to, go work out or go to the gym or whatever afterwards. Yeah.
So is there anything we missed in this conversation and the process that you'd like to add to today's discussion?
Yeah, I mean, as a candidate, it's vitally important that you just go in with an open mind. Listen to what the employer is offering you in terms of the full package, but also the opportunity for growth. And that's something I've talked about at C&A quite a bit. There's opportunity in a variety of programs. So somebody might come into the application process with one thing in mind, but if they keep an open mind, there's ample opportunity within the organization and even for career advancement. So I try to highlight those things. And again, as a candidate, you're trying to put your best foot forward. A company wants to be competitive in the market, but at the same time, you have to make sure everybody's on the same page. And I think that initial conversation plus every step along the way, just testing how does this fit for both parties is really good for long-term success. So I would encourage any applicant out there to go in with an open mind, put your best foot forward, and sell yourself. That's exactly what you're doing in the resume. That's the first glimpse into selling yourself, and then being professional throughout the phone interview process, the in-person interview process. Act like you want it, because so few people do. And it's really the ones that stand out that they're the ones that do want it.
Well, we appreciate your time. For more information on any career opportunities at C&A, of course, visit our website, childandadolescent.org. For any of the services that C&A provides, again, visit our website, childandadolescent.org, or call 330-433-6075. This concludes another great episode of Q&A with C&A and Western Stark County. We appreciate Andrew stopping by today and sharing some information about working for the agency. C&A is always grateful to WHS-TV for their partnership and helping us provide information about the agency. This is our last segment this spring until the fall. So C&A wishes everyone a fun-filled, amazing summer. And until the next segment, this is Dan Mucci, thanking you for joining us.